Number 9, Beyond Two Souls. So this game is from the makers of Heavy Rain, Quantic Dream, and it is a new psychological action thriller game. After looking at more gameplay footage at E3, I have to say I am very excited about this game, and it looks really interesting, and I can't wait to play it. Within this game, you play out roughly about 15 years in the life of Jodie Holmes, and you play her life from the age of a child, roughly I think around the age of 8, up until her early 20s. And Jodie is actually played by Ellen Page. There are two very seasoned actors within this game. Ellen Page, who plays the main character, and also William Dafoe, who plays another character called Nathan Dawkins. And he is a government medical scientist who basically studies Jodie most of his life because Jodie is very, very special. From a young age, Jodie Holmes has had this special connection to this other supernatural entity who she calls Aiden. And only she can interact with him, and only she can see him. And Nathan Dawkins, played by William Dafoe, basically studies her powers throughout her life, and he effectively becomes almost like a surrogate father to her. The facial animation in this game is kind of amazing. The actual facial capture of and design of Jodie Holmes, it just looks like Ellen Page. And of course the same for Nathan Dawkins, it looks like William Dafoe. It's really incredible. It's just like watching a movie. And obviously they've done some kind of 3D capture of their face, and that's absolutely amazing because you really can see the full acting potential of these two great actors, and the subtlety of their facial expressions, and it just adds to the whole immersion. Within the game, you can play as two main characters. You can control both characters, so you can take control of Jodie, but also you can take control of Aiden, and during the game you can switch freely between them. And this game is very much kind of a sort of an interactive, sort of visual novel type experience, very similar to Heavy Rain. And yeah, like all Quantic games, there is a huge emphasis on story and immersion within that story. And gameplay is kind of secondary to that. It's still an important element, but it's an element that is supposed to support the experience of the story and the emotions that you go through. And another exciting factor with this game, and of course this is always something I love in my games, is that you actually shape the story. So your actions have very, very real consequences. And when you play through a level, there are a number of different ways in which you can complete that level, and that can lead to multiple endings, and so that's really exciting and really great, because it just means there's so much variety within the game and so much potential, and you're going to be able to replay this game so many times to see all the possible choices that you could make. And it sounds really exciting. Based on the trailers, the story of Jodie's life looks really compelling. It looks very, very complex and quite powerful. We have been shown some scenes from Jodie's childhood, and her kind of early experiences when she first discovers her powers and her connection to Aiden, and how this kind of it seems to break down her kind of family, and her relationship with her father and her mother, and it looks really kind of amazing. And then you go through her teenage years as she's growing up and trying to cope with these powers, and then into her adult time. And there've been a couple of demos and gameplay footage and trailers that have showed different times in Jodie's life. There was one time when she was shown to be homeless. She's been shown at various locations around the world. So it seems like a game in which it's a story that spans the globe, and that's great because it means you're going to be able to go to a lot of different locations, and there's going to be a variety of environments and different elements. And based recently on the most recent kind of gameplay trailer that was shown at E3 in the EA conference, it looks also like there's going to be some kind of romance within the game. which you can definitely see them sort of alluding to. So that looks like a very interesting, dynamic. And it very much does look like this story is much more vibrant and complex than Heavy Rain was. Heavy Rain was pretty much the main story was about, a father and his missing son. But it does look like this game has a number of, very serious issues and questions that it does raise. And I love that kind of game that, really makes you think and really tackles, some very complex ideas and human nature and human experience and the supernatural and so on. So it looks really great, and I'm very excited to play it and see what the story is like. So at the actual E3 conference, however, they did have a playable demo, and in that demo they just focused on Jodie's life and her time when she was in the CIA. And, in the trailer, it does show her training as a CIA officer, and it's pretty grueling. And it shows how the government, really wants to use Jodie's unique abilities, to further kind of American international security and carry out very secret, covert, dangerous missions. And they actually did show one of those missions in EA on the actual booth. They had a playable demo which was set in Somalia, and it was a very different kind of gameplay gameplay scenes that we had seen before. Like previous information on this game really did make it seem like it was some kind of like supernatural thriller, but it was very similar to Heavy Rain. There wasn't any serious action in there, but after the Somalia demo, like this game has just opened up hugely, and it does look like there is also going to be some quite exciting action based parts to the actual story, which looks really cool. So in the Somalia demo, Jodie basically is sent to Somalia to take out this target, this warlord who's called Jamal. And in the actual gameplay demo, Jodie is sent alone. She has no backup. She's sent, as a kind of secret, stealthy kind of infiltrator. She's completely alone, except for one young boy called Salem, who's a young boy that obviously something must happen, and I think Jodie saves his life or something, and he ends up joining her and following her throughout this demo. And you take control of Jodie. The fighting is what looked really interesting to me, and is very different to Heavy Rain. So in Heavy Rain, they kind of used quick time action sequences where you had to input certain buttons and at the right time to complete the correct move and block and dodge and so on. But it looks completely different, and it looks like to a degree they've simplified it, so you don't have all these different commands popping up on screen, which I like. I can't stand games that have too many commands going on at once. So this looks really great. Basically what happens is you're in the middle of a fighting scene, and it kind of does a sort of bullet time thing where it slows down, and you have to use your thumbstick to move in the direction that you think Jodie needs to move into to block or to punch or to counter, to continue the movement that she's making. And it looks really great. It looks quite difficult, actually. It looks pretty challenging, but it looks really fast and fluid, and it looks fun. There are also, of course, the return of motion sensor in the actual PlayStation 3 controller. So things like you have to, lift up or, jerk up the controller to jump or grab onto a ledge or, that kind of thing. And so those things are very similar. But the actual controls of the combat for me looked really fun. And I'm excited to try that out and see how it actually works. The other thing that was very interesting was the controls of Aiden. So as I said, Aiden is an entity, a sort of ghost-like figure. And when you take control of Aiden, you know, it changes into a first-person view. And you can, as Aiden, you can pass through objects up to a certain distance. So you are limited in how far away from Jodie you can actually go, because Aiden is tethered to Jodie. But you can move through objects and you can scout out an area. Also, Aiden does have, you know, many powers and many abilities. So you can use Aiden to shatter or push objects. You can even use Aiden to choke people and to even kill people. And you can also possess people. And you can, you know, take control of their body and then make them do a certain action within the game, and usually that person ends up dying in some way, some horrible way. But you know, the controls for controlling those things seem very similar. You know, lock on with LB, and then you use your thumbsticks to pull away or pull towards, depending on what you want to do. And it is quite easy to know what you can do for the different characters, because everything appears to be color coded. So if you can choke somebody, I think there's kind of a red sort of aura around them. If you can push or interact or scare somebody, I think it's like kind of a blue aura. And if you can possess somebody, they have a sort of orange aura. So it is very easy to see what options you have available to yourself. And Aiden does look really interesting. His controls look really, really interesting. But my concern with that is he seems like a really overpowered character, and my worry is it going to be challenging enough? Is it going to seem too easy? You know, will Jodie really will you really feel that Jodie is in peril and that, you know, she could die very easily? Because you always kind of have Aiden sort of looking out for you. And so, you know, is she too overpowered? I don't know. Like, I haven't seen that much gameplay. So I'll be interested to see how they work that out. And whether, of course, there are certain limitations to those abilities or to, you know, to what Jodie can do. So that'll be interesting to definitely see that later on. Another thing that is interesting to think about is, of course, like I said before, there are multiple ways of completing a level. But does that also mean that if you make mistakes, can people die? And people that are crucial to the story or have an impact on the story? And will those people die completely? Or will you just get like a fail screen and then you have to start again? Or will they just, you know, will they be gone from the story? And one of the things that was really cool in Heavy Rain was that many of the characters within the story could die. Even the main characters that you played between, I think you cut between 3 people from what I know, even the main characters could die. And if that main character died, the story still continued. It just kind of rewrote itself to accommodate for the lack of that person. But, you know, the game and the story continued, and I'm wondering whether they're going to do the same thing. So that will be really fascinating if that's the case. So, you know, Quantic Dream haven't revealed any further information about that, but that is something I'm very interested to see whether they're going to use that or implement it. So, yeah, Beyond Two Souls looks really great. So, you know, you can pre-order this game now, and there are certain benefits to pre-ordering this game, actually pretty good benefits from the look of it. If you pre-order the game now, you will get a 30-minute free DLC content. Which I think is really great, like free content for pre-ordering it in 30 minutes. It's not a huge length, but it's, you know, given that it's a story-based game, it could have an impact on the story. And also, if you pre-order, apparently if you pre-order it in GameStop, as well as giving you that 30-minute free DLC content, they will also upgrade you for free to the special edition version of the game, which includes a kind of special tin case for the game. It has behind the scenes videos as well as many other exclusives. So that looks really great. Yeah, definitely pre-ordering this game seems like it's worth it. So Beyond Two Souls is a Sony exclusive, and it will be available on the PlayStation 3 and the game will be released on the 8th of October this year. So it will be available to buy from the 8th of October. I am definitely going to buy this game. I'm so excited about this game. It looks so good, and after watching the Somalia demo, like, I found myself really drawn into the story. The voice acting looks fantastic. Ellen Page looks like she's done a great job. The movement of the character as well, because they obviously did motion, detection. When I think Jodie is injured at one point in the demo, and she really looks like she's in pain, and the way she's moving is just very natural, and it feels very natural. And oh yeah, I'm super excited about this game after watching that demo. And so yeah, that's number 9 on my list. So yeah, that's this video then on Beyond Two Souls. So have you seen any footage on this game? Are you interested in buying Beyond Two Souls? And did you play Heavy Rain? And what did you think of that game? Okay, so I'll catch you guys next time. So have a great day, guys, and I'll see you later.